Hey guys, I am so excited about our new kit that we're launching on a Maker Studio today. And part of the reason why I love doing it is because if I can be crafty, if I can make something with my hands, as well as make something that I feel is very utilitarian for my house, I've hit it on all cylinders, and this is it, truly. I would say, of course, I love using stencils. I love the ease of what it does as far as creating art, but I love creating things with our new Eco Powder. So I'm gonna take this down. I wanna show you, this is literally what goes in my bathroom. And I have one that I have next to my sink with my, in my kitchen. So that way I can take my rings off, be able to put that on the tray and have a really pretty vintage glass bottle with my soap and things in it. But this is the tray. Can you see that? This is the tray that I want you to be able to see. It's just the perfect depth. It's the perfect size. And I love the fact that I've got these little specks of terrazzo chips in there. And I'm gonna show you today how to make the terrazzo chips yourself. So it's so great because what's difficult a lot of times when we get things, we have a list, we go to a hobby store and it's like, I don't have all that I need. I've put everything together for you in this kit. You get your silicone mat, you get your wax, your alcohol inks, your eco powder, your stir sticks, your sponge, natural seaweed sponge, everything. It's all there. So it's the perfect gift for $58. It's something that you can buy for yourself and you can give to a friend. All right, so now I'm gonna turn this down. I want you to be able to see how to create this. So that way we'll have just a little mini workshop here. So this is the mold. If you've not worked with these molds before, it's basically a situation when you pour them up, this is the front, this is the top part of the mold, but you're working in reverse. So that way this is the back. We'll unmold this in just a minute. So you're gonna be doing two things. One thing I want you to do first is we're gonna be making our terrazzo chips. So let's move all this aside. And we're going to be starting with our Eco Powder. Now, the Eco Powder is, as you can see, it's 100% safe, it's non-toxic, and it's hypoallergenic. Now, I would not say that this is food safe necessarily. This isn't something that you're going to eat off of. These are trays that you're going to make, and I'll be quite honest with you, this would actually even be a great bowl to be able to put your wicks in here. If you've got my candle kit, you can pour it up and create a gorgeous candle that you could set on top of a stack of books or next to your nightstand. The other thing is too that we're also launching the smaller terrazzo mold, which is one that I had done in pink and blue that you can also get now as well. So I'm going to basically, in order to make my chips, I'm going to take a little bit of the Eco Powder I've put in this cup already, and I'm going to mix it in one of my silicone cups. Now, these are great because when you're working with the silicone cups, when it dries, you just squeeze the cup, and that way it's all going to crumble and you can pour it out. Do not pour this down the sink when it's wet. Of course, you can put it in the garbage can, but I usually just let any excess dry, squeeze the silicone, it crumbles out, and then that way I've got my mold and I can rinse it out. So I'm going to go on and put just a little bit of my Eco Powder into my silicone cup, and you can buy these cups on a Maker Studio as well. And then I'm going to add just a little bit of water. Now, as a rule, and I think I've shared this with you earlier, but on another live that I had done, but normally I'll do 4 parts Eco Powder, 1 part water. When I'm working and making chips, I'll usually do 4 parts powder and 2 parts water. I like it just a little bit thinner. So now, once I've mixed this up, you see it's fairly thin, but just maybe stir it for about 30 seconds. Make sure you get all that powder diluted. I'm gonna come back, and because my countertops are lighter, I wanted just a little bit of taupe. So I'm gonna be taking the alcohol ink. When you get this kit, you get your black, your brown, white, and gold. So that way you can create a lot of different looks, and the gold is metallic. So when you cut them, make sure that you're careful in cutting off the top of your alcohol ink, that you don't cut down too close, because it'll have a tendency to squirt out. So I'm just going to do a couple of drops. I don't want too dark of a taupe, but it's just a really pretty contrast with my white, which is what I'm wanting as far as the trays on my counters. All right, so now you can kind of see the color. Again, that alcohol ink, you can come back and make chips that are pink, blue, yellow. You can go crazy. You can create metallics. It's so fun and so easy. All right, so now I'm gonna take, got one here. I've got a pastry, a larger pastry sheet. I've got some already made, but I wanted to pour this out so that way you could see it. And it's good to work on the silicone mats like this. So basically you're just gonna pour out what we mixed. Don't leave it like this though. You wanna make sure that you spread it. So just come back and spread it on your sheet out like this. And what that does, it's gonna make it to where when this dries after about 15-20 minutes, your terrazzo chips are gonna be much thinner and easier to work with. All right, so now I'm gonna pull this aside, and I've got one already done. And actually, this mat comes in your kit, so you'll already have it. So now I want to show you, now I'm just gonna lift this up, and it shows you how easy it is to be able to just crunch these babies up. So I'm gonna go in and put that in my cup, because I'm gonna need these. It's so satisfying. It's almost silly. Now, I'm not gonna, this is just white. I don't need that for this project, so I'm gonna be working with more of my taupe colored chips. So I'm gonna take just a wooden stir stick, and I'm just gonna crunch them up just a little bit. I do like them to be varying degrees of sizes. Like this. All right, so now we're gonna go on and mix up what needs to go in our mold. So I'm gonna need to add a little bit more eco powder to my stir bowl. So I'm gonna cut the edge of this. All right. So now let's go in and add a little bit of water. Start with less water in the beginning, so that way you can test it. I like to start off and have it a little thicker. Get all that stuff, that yummy eco powder down at the bottom. Make sure it's all mixed up. Now I'm gonna come back and add just a little bit more water. Again, how we usually do 4 parts powder to 1 part water. You want this, you know, a lot of us as creatives, we kind of do this the same way we do our cooking. I very rarely use a recipe. I learn what goes together, and that's what I work with. This is the consistency. I've got a few more lumps in there. There it is. I got to make sure that's good and stirred up. Okay, I like the consistency. You can kind of see what it's like. Now I'm going to go in and add my terrazzo chips that we made. See that pretty taupey color, kind of gray taupe? And now I'm going to go in and fold that in. I've got a few more that I had done earlier. Continue to stir that really well. Now, you do want to work fast, because what happens, this will start to set up. And again, we're working on the back of our mold, and I'm gonna go in and pour this up. I usually like to go from one end, like this, down to the other and just pour my way across this way. So it would be really good. I need to come back. I'll make just a little bit more. I want you to go all the way to the top. And then that way, after you've poured all this in, see how you'll have chips, a little, some of the terrazzo chips. So what we're gonna do, we're just gonna pat the sides, and it's gonna start to make this start to settle. And if those little chips like that, they're not cooperating, they're kind of big, you could take them out. As a rule, I need to come back and add just a little bit more eco powder. So basically pop the sides like this, it'll start to settle out, and then your terrazzo chips will start to go even into your mold. And then after about 45 minutes, sometimes before, it just depends on what the temperature and the humidity is in your room, it's gonna completely harden like this. Now, try not to rush the whole process, because what I don't want to happen, I don't want it to not be completely dry. And I usually will wait 45 minutes. You're going to start to see it's going to start to set up even after about 15 minutes. Please don't move this. Once it starts to set up, if you even move it and push it to the side, you'll have a little bit of indentation. So pour it up, hit it, make sure it balances it, and then leave it alone. So then, as far as the demolding process, I'm just going to take the end like this and gently pull it up, lay it down, and then pull my mold off. You'll have some excess or a little bit of flaking. Don't let that bother you. And then I'm going to turn my mold in the correct position again, because this is how I'm gonna store it. You don't want to make sure you store it like this. Just make sure it stays nice and flat, and you'll be able to use this for years to come. All right, so now you'll notice that you can see a little bit of the terrazzo chips. What I like to do is, after I've done this, I'll come back and I'll wash it. So I'm going to take the natural seaweed sponge that comes in your kit, and I'm just going to wash it a little bit. And what's going to happen, you're going to notice that your terrazzo chips are going to show up just a little bit better. To me, the whole point of this is that it's very sophisticated, very classic, very elegant, understated. It gives it just a little bit of detail. That way, when I come back and I'm going to be putting my ear pods or some jewelry or my soap in here, then that way it's just a gorgeous tray, but it's not just plain white. It's got a little bit of those chips in there. So now, last but definitely not least, we want to be able to come, you're going to get wax in your kit. I'm going to take my seaweed sponge, and I'm going to load it up with a little bit of wax, the light antique wax. Make sure there's no water in here. And then the waxing does a sealing process. It seals it. It's going to give it a little bit of a sheen, which I think is really pretty, and it makes the terrazzo pop. So that way, just get it all over. Get it on the ridge, the top, get it on the sides. Load that up. That way you could even use this beside your sink or your stove to be able to put your spoons in, or your spatulas when you're cooking, instead of sitting it on your counter, because now it's protected. So if you let it dry a few minutes, and you can come back and you can literally buff it to where it's got just a gorgeous sheen, you've got a great looking tray to be able to use for so many different things. And the versatility of them, as far as creating all these different colors, if you want to be able to go into more grays, just add a little bit more alcohol ink. It's going to give you a lot of variety on trays that I am just telling you, these are the perfect tray for your bathrooms, for your kitchens, or whatever. I'm excited too to be able to come in, lay my wicks in, and I'm actually going to be making some custom candles. So those of you that bought my candle kit, you can just add your wicks here. I would probably either add 2 or 3, and then put your essential oils in and pour up and make a gorgeous candle out of this container as well. It's gonna be fabulous, and I can't wait to see what you do with it.